All right, good morning, everybody. Hopefully, everybody's having a fantastic week. Today's going to be a little bit of a weird day because we have the Senate, I guess, voting on the Clarity Act. So, potentially, today could be a really, really bullish day for Bitcoin, or it could be a really, really bearish day for Bitcoin. We have a massive catalyst out there, and I'm pretty sure, well, according to Grok, anyways, it will be aired live. So I'm going to try to find it. However, if you're looking for shorts, if you're a bear on Bitcoin, we're going to discuss my bias. Mostly everybody already knows my bias, but we're going to discuss it here in a little bit. If you're looking for shorts, right here is where I'd be willing to put on a short. I'm not willing to put on. I'm saying if you are willing to put on a short, you could do that here. You could probably do it where it is. The bell rings in about 20 minutes, a little bit less than 20 minutes. So, yeah, what we currently have right now is the dollar is bullish. Let's go look at the dollar real quick. The dollar is bullish and it is breaking out. And this is what we don't want right here. We do not want the dollar to break out above this high. If it breaks out above this high, then it's trending. And we don't want it to go into trending mode. You can already see, I mean, today's Thursday. The week is already pretty much in, the weekly range is pretty much already done at this point. You've had your expansion upward. You've got today, you've got tomorrow. But we don't really want to see it go higher than this, as it doesn't really make it easy for us to analyze it, right? If it stays above this, then it's coming up here potentially. Now, it could reverse anywhere in this black space or anywhere in this dark space, but that doesn't give us an edge. Our edge is if the dollar reverses here, we're bearish. If the dollar doesn't reverse there, then we don't have an edge. So for our edge, this is where we want to see the dollar roll over today. If that happens, then I would be more bullish on Bitcoin. Last Tuesday, we got short oil. Now, I closed that trade out. I wish I would not have. Obviously, if you got short Brent crude oil, kudos if you're still in it. We were literally watching it right at the high of the range, so it had to be up here. Oh, right here is where it was. Sorry. But yeah, I got short Tuesday during the public live stream. I ended up closing the trade out at about 12 or 11:30 when it traded back up into my entry. Instead of just leaving it on and see what happens, I closed it. Now, we did short it again yesterday, and in the private Discord, we shorted it right here at this green line yesterday, and I closed that trade today for profit. So oil has literally been going down for the last 2 days. It's amazing how that works. But it does look like it is still, I still like it lower. It's just not going down with any momentum at all. But today could be the day where you see that breakdown. If we go out to the weekly time frame here, you can see the downside target is down here. It's last week's low. This red line is essentially where demand is. So the red line is demand, the green line is supply. If you look at the markets in as supply and demand, it's fairly easy to see what's going on. Like, there was really no demand up here above this green line because price was unable to break out and trend. It just slightly traded above these prior highs, rolled back over. That's why we were looking for the short there yesterday, thinking that demand has been exhausted and it wants to go back down and test these lower areas to see if there's sufficient supply. All right, so we'll see what happens with oil, but I do like it lower. So I kind of don't want to get into a political rant with oil, because I'm a trader first and foremost. That's what we do. That's what I want to help people with. Okay, I don't want to get into political biases, because I think everybody could get along if politics was checked at the door, or if each other were to respect everybody else's politics. So here, instead of even bringing up politics, let me just analyze oil for you, why I am bearish, why I have a bearish bias on oil. All right. It's this simple for me. And this is how I analyze all charts, all markets, everything that I trade. I'm a trend follower. Most of my strategies are trend following strategies. So, I mean, oil, this is the month of May. This is the month of May's price action. Which way is it going? Hopefully it's easy enough for you to see. It is obviously going down. It made, a monthly low right here, traded away from it and set a fresh monthly high right there, then rolled over and made a fresh monthly low, then another fresh monthly low. Well, has it made a fresh monthly high since? The answer is no. Well, okay, it is trending down. This pop also happened on a Sunday. I mean, this happened when even like US futures wasn't even open. The only thing that you could trade on Sunday and Saturday now are perpetual swap future contracts traded on crypto exchanges. So real exchanges controlling oil prices or US regulated exchanges, they weren't even open. The oil was literally moving when US citizens couldn't even trade it. I find that, is it a gap up? It didn't start moving until Sunday, late Sunday. So, I just didn't buy the move. I figured the move was nothing more than a liquidation move, or, it wanted to go higher, but demand fell flat on its face and it rolled over. Now that demand could always come back. It could always come back. And we know that a lot of people are looking for higher oil prices. So there are a lot of buyers. But obviously those buyers were exhausted at 104. As long as the oil is trading under 104 or until it makes a lower trading range, I think the edge is to the downside. That's my personal opinion. And we've been nailing really good trades on oil lately. I can't really show. We nailed that 8%, 10, 15% move on oil, and this was an 8% move that we nailed on oil over here. So obviously, countries do not like high oil prices, especially if they are net oil importers. They hate high oil prices. So we'll see what happens with it, but I still like it lower. And, obviously, if a deal is met, then oil will piss off to the downside rapidly. So that's why we're looking for oil to roll over. But in terms of Bitcoin, something happened. So I made a post the other day right here, and essentially my post just says annualized funding has made a turn to slightly positive. That will give shorts a breather. What does that mean for all of you guys out there? Well, all that means is this: now the bears are not having to pay the funding rates to be short. So when the bears are paying to be short, if price is trending up and vol is trending down, the only people that are shorting this market in that scenario is retail. That's it. Retail doesn't have a clue, or they just don't care. One or the other. No real good trader or no big money trader is going to pay to set in a trade that isn't working when vol is going down. You know what I mean? But now that has changed. You can see the slight green shift here to positive. Now that doesn't mean that, okay, Bitcoin's going down now. No, as you can see here, the majority of the time, this is sitting in a positive funding rate, which means the longs pay. It just means the longs pay to sit in long-term open positions. Because usually when Bitcoin is bullish, it gets so bullish that, yeah, never mind. Futures prices can't keep up with spot prices and yada yada. So, but anyways, now the bears have a breathing room. They got breathing room. So now that bears can literally sit in a position on Bitcoin as long as Bitcoin A isn't trending higher and B, the funding rate is up or positive. And then what has Bitcoin done since the flip of the funding rate? You see what I'm saying? So now I'm not saying it's going to go down to make fresh lows. I still believe the bulls have the majority of the supply locked up. And it's just a matter of time. A catalyst is needed of some kind. And we have that potential catalyst today. So you're probably going to know today whether or not you're going to see fresh lows in the near term by the end of the day, depending on what Bitcoin does today. Now, if the vote passes, I firmly expect Bitcoin to break out by this time next week, above the 200-day simple or the 200-day exponential, because that is the indicator, or one of many, I should say, one of many indicators that is literally holding price down as resistance up here. But if you have a bearish bias, you are trading under the April VWAP. May. Sorry, I keep forgetting we're in May. If you're bearish, you can be. At least volume is more bearish this month. You haven't taken out the monthly low yet or open yet, but you have gotten under the VWAP. So yeah, essentially this is going to be the area to look for shorts. If the dollar breaks out, you would want to probably be short Bitcoin. Now, I've been long for a long time. I got long down here and I'm still holding that long. And when it was trending up, I was getting paid to sit in the long. So there wasn't any reason for me to close it. It was just simple to keep it open. A, I'm making money because price is going in my direction. Vol is trending lower. And B, the sellers are literally having to pay me just to have their positions open. That's a win-win, right? That's what we call a win-win. Whenever you have people selling a market and paying a massive funding rate or a premium on options, which they were and are usually, that's called climbing a wall of worry. And those are usually really good, really clean rallies, right? So hopefully you're learning something here, because what I'm telling you isn't subjective in a sense. It is completely objective stuff. And you can use this stuff to help you in the future, right? For instance, if price is trending higher, vol is going down, then that is a bullish market, not a bearish market. It doesn't matter what the chart looks like. I don't care if what you're saying it is doing, right? You can say that Bitcoin is trending down for the year 2026, and I would agree with you. I would tell you, yeah, the trend is down for 2026, but is it currently trending down for 2026? And the answer would be no, because for the entire month of May, it was trending higher. For the entire month of April, it was trending higher. So I would say, well, you got a couple months of downside, and then the rest of the time you've been in chop. So the market isn't trending, but it is down on the year. If you anticipate that to continue, right here's where you want to put that position on. All right, and you have the funding fees on your side. So now, not only could it roll over, but at least now you know that professional traders, big money traders, can get short, finally. So that may help It may help your downside bias. It may help the 2026 downtrend to continue. But at least until you just didn't have it. You didn't have a good enough reason to short the market, in my opinion. I mean, obviously people are going to do it, but I'm looking for clear and obvious edges to make money in the market. And it's hard enough to make money in the market being a retail trader, because most of everything else is stacked against us completely. You got to pay the exchanges, blah, blah, blah. Like, there's so many things. It's already stacked against us. In most cases, the best strategies for most people are just going to be buy and hold. But I know everybody wants to make the big money. Everybody wants to make the day trade money. That is the hardest thing to do consistently profitable, right? That's the hardest thing to do. But at least if you're going to do it, make sure the edge is on your side, or whatever directional bias you have. All right. So yeah, Bitcoin has been slow. Yesterday was the best pullback that it's had really in a long time, or the last 2 days, I would say. But you tested the daily 21 exponential moving average down here. And that's typically what we're looking for to be a dip buyer. So we're going to find out if the dip buyers are here. If it doesn't happen today, then we'll see what it does tomorrow. But like I said, if that Clarity Act passes today, that's going to be huge, a potential huge bullish catalyst for Bitcoin. I think it could be enough to get it up out of this range a little bit. I don't know if it's going to be enough to get it up above yearly opening range. Could be. I think the BIP 110 noise is still out there, and that's potentially going to keep Bitcoin down. But to be honest with you, I mean, for big money to show up in Bitcoin, the Clarity Act is literally all that's needed. So everything will be in place to see a potentially massive short squeeze. But we'll see what happens. Most people, I feel, have a bearish bias on Bitcoin right now. I am definitely not with most people here. A lot of things need to change for me to become bearish. I at least need to see a reason for it. There are things that are starting to shape up to where I'm not liking the breakout, and is the funding rate thing. I don't like that. I would rather the funding rate be with the bulls, obviously. And then another thing that we checked on yesterday, right here, this is like, if you go to December 2026, you can see that your rate cut, this is the rate cut probabilities, and then rate hike probabilities. Rate hike probabilities have went up dramatically. Not too long ago, rate hike probabilities was like this, 0.2. Now it's 29%. So the market seems to be pricing in rate hikes, not cuts. So would Bitcoin be bullish in a rate hiking environment? I don't know. It's hard for me to see that, but I mean, we'll just have to wait and see what Kevin Warsh, the new Fed chair, does when he gets into office and starts speaking. He's already been voted in, I'm pretty sure. So now we just need to see what he's going to do. He is more of a Fed hawk than a Fed dove, or at least he's rumored to be. And he definitely wants to get the balance sheet down. So I think if you were definitely going to see rate cuts and aggressive rate cuts, then one could make the argument that Bitcoin is definitely most likely going to close the year higher than down. we're going into May. I mean, we're not in the beginning of the year anymore. We're next month, June. That's the halfway point to the year. And Bitcoin has some work to do. Up here is the yearly opening range. It needs to get above this yellow line to be positive on the year. It could get there with 2 really good days. It's not that far away, but it is far away with this kind of vol, where you're seeing very small ranges, very sideways markets. All right, what's the Dixie doing? The Dixie's still postured like it wants to break out here. We've been open for 2 minutes in the market. The S&P 500 is currently up. It opened up. So fresh all-time highs again. Nvidia's fresh all-time highs. You're trading on fresh all-time highs. Yesterday's high would be the all-time high. So we've been long Nvidia since it dipped down in here. This is where we bought it. We literally bought it right there. It's been straight up since where we bought it at. I would assume a pullback is coming. So if you're still holding that long, you might want to take profits if you haven't already. Of course, I've already taken profits. So what I'm going to do this morning, because I have a long on Bitcoin, I have my Bitcoin exchange set to cross separated instead of the normal way that people trade. So I can open short positions while I have a long trade on. I'm going to open a short position here because I want to protect my downside gains or my upside gains that I've made on Bitcoin. All of this, I want to protect that, or from here, sorry, all of this. So if they fail the passing of that bill, I think Bitcoin could drop back down in here really quickly. But if they pass it, then obviously I want the short to be stopped out and I want Bitcoin to continue to head higher. So I am going to put on a short on Bitcoin right here, as long as the dollar is threatening a breakout to the upside. Here's what you currently have happening on USDJPY. So I firmly believe this asset is literally what's keeping the dollar poised. This is trading. I mean, I don't know anybody that's having fun trading USDJPY right now. Or if they are, most people, or a lot of people that I know, are not trading it. They're waiting till they have some kind of definite change. Rate hikes would be more bullish for the US dollar. So as long as the market is threatening rate hikes, there's a potential that the dollar does break back to the upside. That would be bad for Bitcoin. You would see me get bearish real quick and in a hurry if the DXY were to break out above the Q4 highs. I love Bitcoin. I want Bitcoin to break out to the upside, but the Bitcoin is trading against the US dollar. So what the US dollar is doing matters to the success or downfall to Bitcoin, I think. Now, every now and then they trade inversely. They trade to where there is zero correlation at all, right? The correlation changes. It changes day to day, week to week, year to year, month to month. But so far on the macro, every single time the dollar is ripping to the upside, Bitcoin is in a bear market. And we can see that clearly with past market data. And I've showed this image before. The last time I posted it, someone literally asked me, what is that? So they couldn't understand what this picture even is. The background, the blue and white, is Bitcoin's price. That's your Bitcoin price chart on log scale. The green line is the dollar's It's just the DXY's price action. Obviously, dates should be pretty self-explanatory as to what they are. This is your 2022, 2018, and 2014 four-year cycle bear market in Bitcoin. And these are also, all of them are also midterm years. Satoshi, we're pretty sure he did it that way on purpose, right? The halving happens during presidential elections, and then bear markets happen during midterms. If there's going to be bear markets, they would happen during midterms. Anyways, so yeah, each one of these years are a midterm year and correlated to a Bitcoin bear market. And you can simply see that in every single case that Bitcoin had a bear market, right? The dollar was ripping to the upside. Every single one of Bitcoin's bear markets, at least in 2022, 2018, and 2014, were all correlated inversely to the dollar. So the macro moves is what I'm talking about on the dollar, not these intra-range moves that we're seeing on it right now. I'm talking about a macro breakout and trend higher for 1, 2, or 3 quarters. That corresponds negatively to Bitcoin. So like most people, I'm not using past 4-year cycle data to get a bias on Bitcoin. I'm using the dollar to help with that. There is no reason for me to assume that Bitcoin is going to make fresh yearly lows if the dollar breaks down. I think the bears who are only looking at past 4-year cycle data are going to be wrong. I think if the dollar breaks down on a macro scale, puts in a multi-quarter move to the downside, I can see Bitcoin absolutely 100% breaking out, because the supply shock has been created already by MicroStrategy or by strategy, whatever, right? Michael Saylor has already made a supply shock. So you get that macro move on the dollar. That macro move will be most likely what determines Bitcoin's direction. So we definitely, or at least in this community, we definitely want the dollar to hold resistance. We color it in aggressively, maybe it won't go up. But yeah, so that's what this picture is. It's literally, people shouldn't only be looking at prior 4-year market cycles on Bitcoin and using that as their end-all be-all analysis, as it really hurts the community, because you have a lot of people that are waiting for new lows this year to be a Bitcoin buyer. They shouldn't be doing that, because the dollar is more bearish than bullish here. It's threatening a breakdown, not a breakout. Now, it's breaking out today, the dollar is, right? It's breaking out of this very near term range. But up here is where it has to break out before you can say, okay, the dollar is bullish. As long as you are trading under $100 or $100.50, and if rate cuts are still on the table, then that's more bearish for the dollar on a macro basis. So we're using good data to justify our positioning. We're not just simply pissing against the wind here. All right, so with all that being said, that's what that image is. That's why we've been mostly bullish on Bitcoin since the February low was put in. We saw massive data of capitulation. Like that capitulation low on Bitcoin for February was definitely one of the biggest capitulation events in Bitcoin's entire history, as you liquidated almost $6 billion in a very short amount of time, right? It was the second largest in Bitcoin's history. The first largest liquidation in Bitcoin's history, when do you think that happened? You're probably thinking sometime in a previous bear market cycle, right? Or maybe when FTX exploded. Nope, you'd be wrong. The first time was right here on 10/10. What spawned or sparked the Bitcoin bear market? That was right there. So this was the biggest liquidation event in Bitcoin's history. This was the second biggest liquidation event in Bitcoin history. So when I called this a capitulation low, oh boy. Yeah, the comments were, I don't know what I'm talking about. This is not capitulation, blah, blah, blah. Bro, if this isn't capitulation, then you can't call any other low beyond 10/10 capitulation. So if that wasn't a capitulation event, then none of these events were capitulation, because capitulation literally is when you liquidate the most amount of participants. That's what spawns a sideways market. That's what spawns the whole slow grind. You get the massive liquidation, and then price just blah, doesn't do anything for weeks and weeks and weeks. That is capitulation. This is capitulation. It has been. So we are right on track. Bitcoin is doing exactly what it's supposed to be doing. The dollar has been a little bit negative it's been really sideways, but it's been more negative on the near term as of late. So that's what we're kind of looking for here. But yeah, as long as it's doing this, it looks like it's going to take more BOJ intervention to drop this thing, or at least get it trending down. As long as the interest rates are spread as far apart as they are, then the carry trade is still attractive to investors, obviously, right? So, I mean, as long as the carry trade is still very attractive to investors, they're going to keep doing it over and over again. The BOJ definitely wants to intervene, but what we really also need, not just BOJ intervention, we need the Fed to cut interest rates. If the Fed were to, now they're not going to do that just because Bitcoiners want Bitcoin to go up, right? They're not going to destroy the valuation of the dollar just so Bitcoin can rally. But yeah, if the Fed goes on a cutting spree, then that takes this spread from this green line to that blue line. That's the spread right here. This to here is the spread that investors are capturing by setting in a long USD JPY trade. All right, there's what looks to be intervention. That's a good sign. All right, we're shorting. Excuse me a minute. This is what we were waiting for right here. We just need to see downside continuation. And rate cuts, right? So it's not going to be just intervention that's going to help the dollar break down. You're going to need to see intervention and rate cuts. So you can have a bearish bias on Bitcoin as long as that's, as long as the Fed is hawkish, I guess, or as long as you see the DXY heading higher. Though really and truly, the DXY is going to need to be in your analysis at the very minimum for you to have a successful scalping strategies against Bitcoin. So you don't necessarily want to be bearish on Bitcoin while the dollar's bearish. Now, there's going to be days when that correlation does not matter. There's going to be days when the dollar's moving higher and Bitcoin's moving higher. And there's going to be days when the dollar's moving lower and Bitcoin's moving lower. But I'm talking about on a longer term scale, like on a weekly, bi-weekly, monthly, bi-monthly. You're going to need the dollar helping your analysis. The dollar's been in a 10-month range, 11-month range. So we're waiting for the macro move on the dollar. The macro move is going to tell us. So if we break under monthly support and get trending, that's going to be good. That's going to be real good for Bitcoin, as I would anticipate a move like this. Maybe not that big, or maybe bigger, right? Just something like this. A big trending move lower on the dollar. That would help Bitcoin. So that's what we're looking at. If you're going to make money on the short, it's going to be from here. If the dollar rolls over, I don't think you're going to make money on the short. So you're kind of going to need to see some help. And another thing we traded yesterday is we got short XMR. We didn't really have any setups yesterday. I don't really have many for today either. I mean, other than a Bitcoin short, and I don't have a bearish bias on Bitcoin. So you're gonna be hard pressed to get me to short it. I'm only shorting it to protect my upside gains, but I'm almost guaranteed that that's gonna get stopped out if the dollar rolls over. If oil continues to head lower, I would assume the dollar is going to go lower. But oil's only like oil and the dollar aren't inversely correlated either, or correlated. So we kind of have this thing to where all investors are keeping their eyes on oil and then the dollar and the Fed. And we don't get another Fed rate decision until June. And that's the midpoint of June. Also, June the 17th is when you're going to get your next FOMC. That should be Kevin Warsh's first meeting. And then hopefully we'll get some clarification as to what his intentions are. Now, he's not the only Fed member. There are many Fed members. So even if he wants to cut, he needs to sway the vote. If he's the only one that wants to cut, for instance, then the rates aren't going to get cut. All right, so Bitcoin's moving for a breakout here. Grok said that it starts being televised at 10:30. So we'll look for a link around 10:30 to see if the bill is being voted on. Euro dollar's been sideways for 5 weeks. It's back down. So let's go take a look at that. Obviously, euro dollar is very correlated. Very much correlated to the dollar. We look at this on a weekly basis, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 weeks. I honestly thought last week was good for the euro. I honestly thought that euro was going to start to move up to monthly res, which is this swing high up there. And this whole week has been nothing but a downside run. the whole week, it has done nothing but go lower, which is so annoying because last week it did nothing but go higher. It's piano keys. It's piano keys. It's as sideways as it can be. It was as sideways as it could be up here. Then you had 1-2 weeks of trend, and you went into a period of another almost 4 weeks of sideways till you broke out. Then you had 1 week of expansion, and then right back into 5 weeks of sideways. So we've literally been trading in this area for like the last, what feels like 10 years. It's so annoying. So it's definitely a scalper's market. It is definitely not a swing trader's market right now. I would assume USD JPY gets continuation off of that move, but assumptions are bad. I would just simply watch hourly res if you can. It's whipping around all crazy like right now, but this is probably about where you would want to try to put on a short if you were going to short it. Stop loss is going to have to be high of day. So make sure you're not doing it with a huge position size. Make sure you know what you stand to lose if you're wrong. But yeah, this is where we want to see it roll over. If it continues to advance above 157.93, then it's not bearish. It is bullish. And there, I don't know of any news that would have came out at 9:40 a.m. The New York Open happened. It looks like they ran the high or price. When I say they, I mean price. There is no they. The theys don't exist. The people that you think that are controlling the market do not exist. Price does its own thing. So price moved up and gave it a nice liquidation. Not just a small little boop above and then drop. It was a fair move. It looked like a legit breakout. Like, oh yeah, boys, here we go. And then puked. It kind of feels like there is intervention happening. And if they intervene enough, then obviously they could spark a multi-week downtrend. But this thing is obviously been trending higher and higher, right? But right here, you can get rid of all of these lines. This is the only one you need. If price is under this, you can be short. If it's above that, then it could be headed here. So there's no point to short it. Very simplistic way of trading. It's a very profitable way of trading too. As long as you're not getting stopped out like 18 times before the roll happens, you'll be fine. That's on your end though. That's risk management. All right, let me see who's here. What's up? What's up first? Good morning. What's up, Tony the Fish? Not late this morning, I see. Good. Good morning. Good morning, LMG. Good morning, Bill, Bravo, Oxum, all of you guys. Good morning. Oxum says, I'm still holding the same short in Brent that you took live. Added back into it yesterday. Flawless call, brother. Just sad that you closed it. Funding made it hard choice, though. Yeah, I paid $37 in funding fees to hold the short overnight. That's a full risk unit. I mean, it's not a full $100 risk unit, but the way that I scalp with a small account, it's a full $30 loss. So that it is a full risk unit to lose while you're on the right side of the trade. That's not good. So when funding fees are that high, you're going to be hard pressed to get me to want to trade the asset regardless. Now, here's the thing with oil. If it breaks down, I do want to be involved. I do, because a large move would make that, those funding fees worth it. This is not a large move. This is a very small move. So yeah, there's no point in me being in it. So I'm only going to scalp it, and hopefully I nail the drop, which I probably won't, because I will be getting in and out of the market. Okay. You could pay less funding if you short Brent crude on a U.S. Regulated exchange, obviously. You're going to pay standard fees. But if you want to trade it on a crypto exchange, you're going to get hammered. Because so as you can see, this is BZ USDT. They got rid of XBR USDT, which was the first perpetual swap futures contract tracking Brent crude. Well, they for whatever reason, they delisted that one, and now they have this one. This one was paying twice as much in funding rates. Now, you're not paying the exchange fees. Those fees are still free for right now. But eventually, you will have to pay exchange fees as well. It'll be very expensive to trade this, or to set in a trade. But as long as the risk is out there, and as long as there is massive headline risk, it can change from day to day what this is doing. Technical analysis has been helpful. It has helped us catch a few nice trades on Brent crude, but as long as the headline risk is oil probably does want to go higher, or it will go higher, as long, like if they're threatening to put boots on the ground, oil prices probably going up. They need to get close to a deal. A deal would make this thing drop hard. A deal and the opening of the Strait. Oil, this will take a nasty dump. I wouldn't be surprised to see it move 8-10% in one day. Those moves are worth catching with a high funding rate, but I'm not going to set and pay the longs, you know what I mean, just to hope that I'm right someday. I'll jump in, I'll take my swing, I'll do it like Muhammad Ali. I'll pop in, pop, pop, pop out, pop in, pop, pop, pop out. Rope it dope, brother, rope it dope. I think that's going to be the best way to trade oil from now on. And we've seen several moves on USDJPY. Also, let me say this real quick, that have had big down moves that have been faded. There was one right here. So this could get faded. So don't bet everything on this rolling over right now. This is the reaction we wanted to see, but we want to see continuation. We do not want to see this thing close back up here. You want to see continuation at some point. We don't like this. This is like a shit coin. We don't like when price is acting like a shit coin. It's Forex, for God's sake. There's more money in this asset on a daily basis than the crypto market sees in years. Aussie dollar is also rolling. So what is silver doing today? Okay, so silver is also taking a dump here. Though it looks like the dollar does want to break out. Yeah. That's a pretty big move there on silver. Same thing. Very little demand up here of $87. Very little. It could not spend much time up here. It retested it there, failed, got above it slightly, little bit of time and dump. So it looks like the sellers are definitely setting at 87.14 to me on silver. I don't know if they're going to get downside continuation, but they're definitely defending this level. And then that's after somebody posted today that China is buying silver at record levels. Well, that's not today. He posted that yesterday. Maybe they are. But, I mean, that's also old news, I feel like. But, I mean, silver is definitely taking a hit right here. So a lot of it's going to depend on what this thing does today. And this thing is trending. This could be a trap, but the trap is already played out. Like, I don't feel like it's a trap. So I don't quite understand what's going on with USDJPY, to be honest with you. Maybe there's just a lot of people looking at the same thing that I'm looking at. You know what I mean? Maybe that's all it is. It's going to take an hour to top it. And once it does top, you're probably going to see a pretty good move lower. I don't know. Or maybe it isn't topping. Maybe that's the problem. Euro's down. And down significantly on the day. I wouldn't buy euro today. So now I don't know that I do want to short USDJPY. Aussie dollar is also down. That kind of, yeah, it doesn't feel like the dollar's topping. Looking at Aussie and euro, it feels like it may want to break out here. VIX, what's the VIX doing? VIX is slightly up at 1792. It's not up dramatically. It is up. I mean, it still looks bearish to me, but you gapped up this week and you haven't closed that gap yet. So it looks like it's going to close the gap. As long as you're below yesterday's low. I like S&P higher. So just, yeah, be careful. Make sure your risks are mitigated. That's all you can do. That's all we can do. Greetings, boss. Try STURE, having an excellent week. Please can you check FFUSDT for a buy at 1 hour support and lab for let's go FF first, I guess. The chart looks terrible. I would say screw hourly support right off the rip. Right here is where they need to defend it. If you take out yesterday's low, which is right there, then forget about it. But it does look like support is building in here on an hourly basis. I hate the fact that it's making lower highs and lower lows still, though. It isn't trending. These 4 candles are inside this candle's range. So this candle's high is the one that you need to see get a price get above before you can even think that this is a bounce. So, I mean, it would be a simple trade to mitigate risk. Buy, stop, right? 2-to-1 target. It wouldn't be a day trade. It would be a swing trade. Would be 8691. That would be your 2-to-1 risk to reward. So the trade would look like this. Buy, stop. And then your 2-to-1. You want to obviously make it a little bit better than 2 to account for any exchange fees. There you go. That's what you're looking for, something like that. Could it do it? All right, well, let's go see. We got to get on the daily first and foremost because we got to see where is it in relation to its moving averages, as that is market structure. Still bearish, but bullish on the daily time frame. Oof, that right there is going to be resistance until it isn't. Okay, and so you could be right, but you're early. You could be right, but you're early on this one. Give me 1 second. So Bitcoin is rolling over here. See how easy it is to mitigate risk when you're doing things that I say to do, or at least watch. Very simple. That's your point of risk. As long as price is under it, you're golden. But remember, 10:30, I think, is when the vote happens, or when they start voting. All right, so back over here. Yeah, that's resistance. That's hardcore resistance. I would say this is a short squeeze, or I mean a short covering rally. I don't know this. What is that? I don't trade things like this usually. As long as you're making higher highs and higher lows, or at a bare minimum, as long as you're making higher lows, you can look for longs. When that trend stops, I would stop looking for longs. So if you take out today's low, it's probably topped out. Just make it simple. Don't make it difficult. There's no reason to love this asset. And then LAB USDT. I don't see a Binance perp. There's one. This one is extremely bullish. The long was there. I mean, yeah, it's me looking at it in hindsight, but it's literally the exact same thing that I'm always looking for, what I'm always doing. Yeah, that would have been your long op. You would have been a buyer on that dip. It would have been a scary bid. But it looks fine now. This is probably just going to get faded. If the bears are in control, this move will be faded. This is an emotional move. This is to pull in more longs, because anybody that's been trying to buy it all day has been getting stopped out almost with every next candle. So when the buyers see these big explosive moves like this, they get FOMO, then they jump in. That FOMO is what causes price to lower as the day goes on, as they continue to get stopped out. I don't really like it. It's already had a big move. This thing is going to die probably eventually. It is massively oversold. I mean, overbought. Massively overbought. I never want to buy something that is massively overbought. Me, myself. I trade things that I have an edge on. I do not have an edge on this chart at all. I could probably scalp it, but yeah, I mean, I don't have a setup here for you. I definitely wouldn't buy it where it is. It's just coming back to here would be a pullback. Just be careful with them. Both of them are, neither one of them are things that I would trade. Good morning, says Nonstopity. Good morning. Good morning, Tom. Nonstopity, I'm still long on silver from April 29th. Yeah, silver may be topping out here. You're still good on the long term. Simply what I mean is you're still closing above this. So you're still good, but I don't like this. So you went from making higher lows, boom, 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 to lower lows, boom. Now, this could just be a pullback. So if you look on like the longer time frame charts, as long as you're respecting the midpoint of this candle, you could argue that the buyers are still in control of the chart. If you take out the low of this candle, that's going to be a no bueno. You only got 6 hours left on this candle, so it isn't going to happen most likely today. Then you're going to have to watch the next candle, its open and the lows. And you're going to want to see these lows defended to keep that bullish bias on silver. What you really need to keep that bullish bias on silver is the dollar to roll over here today as well, which I believe it will. And the reason that I believe it will is because of market structure, right? This is the last day for the trap, essentially. Yesterday, it built in a trap. It closed above the daily 21. So on the very near term, you could have a market reversal here. We will only know if it's a reversal by the continuation. So if it gets continuation, then we'll know it's a reversal. If it fails here today and rolls over and closes out bearish or back under the 21, we'll know that move was most likely a trap. Now, that's the daily. That's only the daily. On the weekly, market structure is still bearish. Your 200 is up here. Your 21 is there. So price is under all weekly major moving averages, which is a good thing. But in choppy market conditions, these trending indicators are not that helpful. But that's okay, because if it doesn't roll over from here today, we're not going to be bearish anymore. We're not going to keep shorting it. We know this is our signal to sell it. As long as we keep our rules, we'll be fine navigating these markets. Absolutely. Today is a big day. This is where I would expect, or at least not expect, but anticipate the dollar reversal happening. I would say this week and last week was more of a price discovery. We break back out above Q4 2025's high. I'm going to be bearish Bitcoin. I'm going to be bullish the dollar, unfortunately. And in my opinion, that's just a better way to be, instead of trying to call near term or local bottoms or local tops. It's just much simpler to be let price be king. Let price guide thy hand. Bitcoin back up. Bitcoin back up. We got 15 minutes. Let me go back to Grok real quick and scoop out where that link is. Oh, wait, I can just do this. Banking.senate.gov. Okay. Boom. All right. I hope there's no music on this thing. Wait. Oh my gosh. I can't stand even looking at a photo of that woman. She is literally so against crypto. It's not even funny. Let us be free, you tyrant. This is what I would tell her if I ever met her in real life. You are a tyrant. All right, so where's the video? Like, I don't see a video. Is it a hearing? Yeah, these are old. There's nothing for May. It's not a hearing. Legislation. Maybe it's legislation? No, I don't know. would it be on CNBC?
Some
maybe?
people, those.
Hey, you sexy voiced man. All right. Would CNBC have? Would it be on? No. What is it? C-SPAN. Oh. Let's see if they got anything that's live. I don't see anything that's live on C-SPAN either. Yeah, I don't know. If you know the link and you're in the Discord, post it. If you're in the YouTube live chat, you won't be able to post the link, but you can do it in a way that I can understand that it's a link. Just don't make it a link. Put some spaces or something in there. All right, Bitcoin back up. Interesting. Now, this is when it gets difficult being a seller, right? Because it's back. Price is back. Oh, no. Now what? Well, if it's back, it's probably going higher. Your deltas are bullish today. They're not bullish, but they're not bearish either. It's mostly neutral. Let's go give our session volume profile a looky-loo. Do we have an edge? Well, the POC is right where we would want it to be if it's going to roll over, right? So it would be nice if the deltas would get on board with the POC. Right now, the deltas and the POC are not agreeing with one another. We don't have a clear short signal. Not on an intraday basis. Not on an intraday basis, guys. It just ain't there. But oil is not giving us a good signal. The dollar is starting to give us a signal. Good. Yeah, as long as the dollar's under this line right here, I'd be more bullish on Bitcoin than bearish. And then the SPOOS is making fresh all-time highs. So just the market as a whole, the market conditions right now aren't really supporting a bearish trade on Bitcoin. Just make sure you got your risk situated, guys. Also, XMR is coming right back, so I'm not really liking this either. It's just been it's been very difficult to short crypto markets as of late. The shorts are not getting any downside continuation. I would argue that XMR is okay here, but I definitely don't want to see it break out above this. If it breaks out above that, then you can probably forget about the short. It is a lower low, though. That's a good thing. But can that trend continue? And you can see where the problem lies, right? Where this is on the daily. This thing could go all the way back up to the week open easily today. You don't really have anything other than the weekly and monthly VWAPs to hold you back or to hold price back today. I would much rather it be an objective daily level, as those are a little bit more easy to delineate. In terms of Bitcoin, same thing. It could still roll over, but I mean, the sellers are not aggressive today. Notice what happened yesterday. So like yesterday at 8:30 in the morning, it would have been easier to be a seller because you did have deltas on your side. You don't have deltas on your side here. Now they could show up later today, but you don't have an edge right now. And the data you have right now is the data that you got to use to make your decision. Same thing. Bitcoin could trade all the way back up to yesterday's open and then yesterday's high. Those are the objective levels. Right there. And right here. So you really don't have any direction on this daily candle. And I never take trades at moving averages. I only take them at objective price levels. I'm not going to short it up there. For me, for this to be a short, it should be rolling over. But it's breaking out with a bullish engulfing, so it kind of feels like today wants to be bullish. Thank you, Tom. He gave me this, but I mean, coverage begins at 10:30. Appreciate it, Tom. You're the man. You're the man. All right, let me pull this over here. And keep it on watch. You are the man. Tom with the save. All right, let me go back up. Good morning, says on somebody read that. Still long silver. Good morning. Lunar entity. This is probably a new oil regime. It has been suppressed since '09, and the shale capex implosion of 2014 also helped to keep it suppressed. Annual time frame, it looks ready to move. I mean, you can be bullish on oil if you want to be. For me, I can't. Oil is one of those things, like, it's going to trigger a recession if it stays higher. You know what I'm saying? I know a lot of people want a recession. I get it. It's fun being a bear when you're in a recession or a bear market. But to predict that, I don't know. It just doesn't make sense to me. The markets generally trend higher. But not oil, right? Oil doesn't generally trend higher. It generally chops. Oil is a commodity, so it does have trending moves per se. But in terms of like regimes, I don't know. Probably, I mean, it has in the past, right? You did get a regime back here, but ultimately the same thing happened, right? It rolled right back over. So the regime just didn't last very long. So I hear what you're saying, but you kind of also got to admit I have a point too. Like, we're getting near the tail end of this oil regime. So anybody that was looking for like $200, $300, $400 oil, they're not going to get it. Most likely. It's still possible, but if that happens, forget about the AI boom. Like, inflation's going to skyrocket. Inflation has been moving up. I'm well aware of that as well, but I mean, it hasn't been spiking. It's not like aggressively moving higher. It is moving up though. So one definitely needs to be aware of that, but it's because of oil. Oil directly affects the CPI. It's not a big percentage. I think it's like, what, 7 to 12%, but it still has a direct, it does directly affect it. Where is it? Right there. No. Yeah, that's inflation. So it is, I guess it is spiking a little bit. That's under 4. It's definitely above the Fed's 2% target. But this is going to be because of oil spike, right? If oil rolls back over, so does inflation. I think to assume that oil is going to skyrocket is a pessimistic view. And generally speaking, the optimists control the market. Usually. But you do have bouts of volatility. Periods of time where volatility spikes. I mean, it is trending higher on a yearly basis. It's just not this month. But it's trying to. This would be a higher low. So, I mean, I can see where the oil bulls are making a stand. And I can see why they're making a stand here. But what I'm saying is if it breaks down through here and then also makes a lower low, then obviously the sellers are going to be on the right side. I'm just scalping it anyway. I really don't care what it does long term. I'm not going to set in it for a long-term move. But there's no way that I would be bullish on Bitcoin if I thought oil was going to $200. Because China is definitely trying to break the hold that the dollar has on the world economy. But right now, dollar is still very much tied to oil. So that little bit of a spike here that's happening right now on oil could also have a counter effect on Bitcoin. We'll see. We shall see. Yeah, but I think it will roll over eventually if good things happen. That's if. Yeah, high oil prices sustained for a very long period of time. Not good for the world economy. Not good. The funding rate flipped on BZ now, FYI. Yeah, but it flips so often. Let me pull it up. It was aggressively paying the longs. Yeah, it is paying the sellers now. Yeah, so I mean, as long as it's paying the sellers, I don't see a reason that like you couldn't be a holder. This to me is a selling opportunity. It isn't a, I mean, you're under the 50 here, right? On the 4 hour. I definitely would want to see the sellers defend here if I was looking for shorts on oil. It's 4 hour supply. All right. And I can only short 100 contracts. Okay, that sucks. I liked BZ because on XBR because on XBR I could short 250 contracts. That sucks. Whatever. Yeah, I would definitely want to see the sellers hold it here. But support is right here. So it's not a great setup. It's not a great setup. You could really only target right here. And that's a 1.34% move. It's just not moving. Like, it was a nice move on Sunday. It had a nice expansion. Then it was sideways. Then it was sideways. Then it was sideways. And still sideways. It's not really moving. It does look like it's topping out. But it's just not. You haven't seen a nice downside expansion since this day here. So it is very choppy, like the rest of the markets. Literally like the rest of the markets. Chop City. but I do like it if it rolls over. If Bitcoin continues that higher, I would be willing to short it. It's just not right here where it is today. I'll wait till next week and I'll try to get it on the high of the week if I can. I'll be looking at this week's open and perhaps at last week's high for the short on this. It's getting close to the end of the week. Made money on oil yesterday, and so good there. Made money on XMR, good there. It still looks fine. This could be a trap, but I don't like that it built in this long-term support here, and it's a higher low. So at least on the very near term, the last few hours, the bulls have definitely been in control of it. Greetings to you all, says Tank. Joy Affairs, hit the likes, everyone. I appreciate it. Currently short ICP from 3.6, holding to hopefully 2.4. All right. And here comes some.
Good morning. I hope y'all are doing well. It is good to be here this morning. I call the committee to order and move to executive session. Any members who may wish to speak on the bill can do so after votes.
If she's going to be
amendments
there,
will be called up in order of seniority, alternating between the majority and the minority. Senators will be permitted to speak on their amendment prior to voting on them for up to, but not to exceed 2 minutes. We will begin with opening statements. Today is an important day, not just for this committee, but for the country. For years, the digital frontier was trapped in a regulatory gray zone. Developers, entrepreneurs, and investors were left with uncertainty. They faced confusion in enforcement actions when, instead, the government should have been crafting clear rules of the road. Those hurdles drove innovation overseas, left Americans exposed, and made it harder for law enforcement to do their job. Today, we changed that.
Be nice
the bill
we
are
some
marking up
US
achieves 3 simple goals. Number 1, protecting consumers, keeping innovation here at home, and safeguarding U.S. national security. Those are not partisan goals. They are American priorities. Protecting consumers means making sure everyday people come first. It means clear disclosures, safeguards against fraud, and rules that keep markets open, fair, and efficient. It means that if someone in South Carolina invests in digital assets,
get rid of the pattern
they are
day trading
protected
rule
by
while
a
you're at it.
framework with real enforceable legal standards. This bill gives Americans confidence that the system works for them, not against them. Keeping innovation here at home means giving American builders, entrepreneurs, and businesses the clarity and certainty to do what they do best. Until today, outdated rules, unpredictable enforcement, and outright hostility have forced far too many American companies overseas. That cost us jobs, investment, and leadership. This bill says that the future of finance should be built in America.
Mr. Scott is trying
under
to speak.
American laws and with American values. Safeguarding our national security means closing the doors that criminals, terrorists, and hostile regimes have tried to exploit. This bill strengthens anti-money laundering and sanctions rules and gives law enforcement better tools to go after bad actors. These tools make it harder to hide and easier to enforce the law. None of this happened overnight. It happened because members on both sides of the aisle chose to sit down, listen, and work. We've had months of good faith negotiations. Republicans did not get everything we
I don't love it. I mean, I like your short. It looks good. You're in the money. You're doing good. I would take profits here, bro, because it's testing potential support via the 21 exponential weekly moving average. obviously the chart looks bad. I see why you shorted it. I mean, it looks like dog crap. It's a very long-term short for sure. It really hasn't done anything to make people get bullish here. Your entry is beautiful, 3.6. You're above the weekly open. You literally caught this week's high. And for that, kudos. But yeah, you're getting to the point now where you should probably be taking profits, or at least that's what I would do. If I was holding this trade, I would be taking profits, moving my stop to break even, and then letting everything else happen the way it's going to happen in the future.
We wanted, but we made real progress with our Democrat colleagues. And this bill, and ultimately, and more importantly, the American people will be better off because of it. This legislation does not take sides between traditional finance and new technology, or Republicans and Democrats. It takes the side of everyday Americans. It brings digital assets out of the shadows and into a system that is safer, fairer, and more transparent. This is what good governance looks like. Today, we take a step forward together to protect investors, grow our economy, and keep America leading the world. I'm proud of this committee for doing the work, and I look forward to moving this bill forward. I now recognize Ranking Member Warren for opening comments.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman.
No.
Right now, American families all across this country are struggling. The cost of groceries is up. The cost of utilities
I'm putting tape
is
on her
up.
mouth, but she won't
The cost
shut
of health care
up.
is up. We could be
Don't really
working
care what
right
she
now
has to
on
say,
changes
really.
in the
I
law
mean,
that.
Of course, she's against it. She thinks that we shouldn't be doing this. Blah 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 blah. I'll listen to her. But for
bring
you
down
guys,
prices
I
and
am
help
taking my headphones
unrig
off.
our economy. You know, we could be working on capping credit card
Don't
interest
wanna hear
rates.
her mouth.
Every day that we
I
fail
really
to
don't
deliver,
care what she's
families are
got to
charged
say.
an extra $368
I wouldn't
million
imagine-
dollars
I wouldn't doubt
in
it if
interest.
Bitcoin pukes
We could be
just
preventing
because
big
she's
banks from
speaking.
saddling customers with overdraft fees. Every year that we fail to deliver, families could be
could you
paying up
retire
to
already?
$5 billion
Let a
a
younger
year that they
person
otherwise
have that
would be able
job.
to keep. We could be stopping rampant fraud and theft on payment platforms. Our failure to deliver
No, she's
here
still
means that
talking. I didn't
Americans
hear her.
are paying hundreds of billions of
You heard
dollars
till she stopped.
after getting
That's a good
tricked
call,
and
bro.
trapped.
Yeah,
But instead of that,
let's do that.
we're spending our time working.
Boom. Ha! Now we can put tape on her mouth. We'll get it. We'll get it. All right. That's a little bit psychotic. Probably. Yeah, I'll talk to my shrink about it today when I go see them. All right. Back to Bitcoin. Well, someone let me know when she quits talking. I despise listening to her. She represents everything. All of her choices are to protect the communists. We don't like communists. I mean, we don't mind them. We just don't want to live with their policies. That's all. Right? We like freedom here in America. She does not. I mean, she likes it for herself, but she wants to squash it for everybody else. All right, so Bitcoin's spiking a little bit. I mean, as long as it's trending above this, I like it higher. I really do. Yesterday, this is a daily 21 exponential retest. And as you can see, that daily 21 exponential retest helped Bitcoin to build in higher lows. And this is typically what we want to see as a legit support, test, and hold. Now what we want to see is further continuation. So short sellers are always trying to sell, these spikes because they think it is going to roll over. If this bill does not pass, it very well could roll over today. I do believe that could be a very negative catalyst for Bitcoin. And if Elizabeth Warren gets her way, that's exactly what will happen. The no's will hopefully lose. Hopefully the yeses win. So I watched a video yesterday that said I think we need 10 Democrats. Hopefully there are 10 moderate Democrats left in the Senate Banking Committee. We'll see. But this is a massive, massive catalyst for Bitcoin. Massive catalyst. You know she's going to be clipped and quote tweeted, and I would rather read the quote tweets instead of listen to her spew it. So it is important what she's saying. It allows us to know what our opposition wants. We want Bitcoin. And I don't even really care if this bill is passed. I just know it's going to need to get passed in order to bring in more money into Bitcoin. I know the banks don't like it, so that makes me love it even that much more. If the bank don't like it, then obviously, I mean, you're talking about someone who won't give more than 0.00002% on a savings account. You mean they don't like it? The people that get a jack up interest rates on loans, you mean they don't like it? Of course not. Crypto companies pay people. They don't want to compete, right? They don't want to compete. They've been living in a it's capitalism, but there used to be laws against one company monopolies. But because there are multiple banks, like 2 of them, 3 of them, it's not a monopoly. The same thing with the food system right now. 4 companies control it all. So they set the prices. That's not competition. It's a monopoly. Wow, she's going on and on and on, isn't she? Bitcoin heading higher today. That's good. So here is the daily 21. If for anybody not aware, it's right here. So this is a key level of support for Bitcoin to break out. If it can hold higher low support like it has been doing for the majority of, May and April, if it can continue to do that, then a breakout would most likely come. And then within a few short weeks, we should be back to positive on the year. That would dramatically affect MSTR's MNAV and potentially help. So Microsoft did hold 405. I'd be willing to buy Microsoft at 405 if it can hold it in the future. Look at this. That would have been a buying opportunity. If it retests this, I will buy Microsoft today. But anyways, I gotta move Microsoft. Oh, hang on. Let me put a new alert up here because it did not get that one. Well, it's not deleting it, but screw it. I want to buy there. All right. Strategy. I am holding shares at 180. So if this bill passes, I do believe we leave 180 behind. But I've been sitting in it since back here. So I'm not even going to lie and act like I just bought it. Bought it back here. So I'm glad that it's gone back to 180. That was some pain. I was going to add at 90. I was going to double up at 90. It never made it to 90. I never got to double up. But 180 is where we are currently at. So yeah, I mean, this thing is going to like, it could be massive. Massive. This is a higher low support as well. It's obviously tracking Bitcoin. Bitcoin trading up into yesterday's open. So we can get rid of that level. I imagine sellers are here. Not many though, that's a good thing. And the deltas are positive. So we like it. Bitcoin looks like it's still bullish. The sellers have the funding rates back, but they are still unable to get a trending move.
These amendments out of order. When we talked last night, I made clear, I'm happy to have all of the amendments in, all of the Democratic amendments in, all of the Republican amendments in. You and you alone have decided which amendments are in and which amendments are out. And that creates a problem because amendments that address some very important issues that I think we should hear from. So I will.
Yeah, but your amendments that you're bitching about right here are pork. It's pork. So are the Republican amendments, guys. It's all
where we
pork.
are, however.
Politics suck.
It was brought by my staff. It was brought by your staff, number one. Number two, let me just say this very clearly because I'm not going to go back and forth on this issue.
Good.
Democrats,
you're the boss anyway,
have frankly worked hard on this bill. Our bill first came out in June of last year. Since June of last year, we've added 33,000 words, 219 pages in an effort to make this legislation as bipartisan as humanly possible. I can't imagine how much time Senator Alsobrooks has spent on this legislation. Frankly,
I'm appalled.
During very difficult and challenging times, her focus remained on getting things done. And Tillis worked with her on parts of the very legislation that we're talking about where the negotiation allowed us to get to where we are. Gallego has spent a ton of time talking with members on this side, Bernie Moreno and others, trying to find a path forward. So the truth of the matter is, as frustrating as this process has been, without question, when I talk to members on your side of the aisle, including Warnock and Senator, we call her CCM, but Catherine Cortez Masto and Senator Warner,
you know, the far
one
left.
Thing I can tell you, the entire process, we have disagreed vehemently.
Of course.
But respectfully and consistently, and working towards an end result that makes America better. As a kid who grew up in poverty, the thing that attracts me to this issue the most is democratization, an opportunity to lower prices, create access points that today does not exist. This ought not be about Republicans and Democrats.
It should not
be about who's on which side of the aisle.
That's
or
correct.
whether you agree with what we've done. This should be about the American people and nothing else. I want single mothers like the one that raised me to have more opportunities, more access at a lower price. And so we will disagree on this today. But I hope that what we end up with is a legislative product that is good now and gets another bite at the apple as it heads to the floor. This is not over. And I hope that no one thinks that this is over. This process has been transparent, it has been hard, and it has been clear. And that's good news.
I like to see it rising.
For the American people who are watching this process. I tried my very best to take the expertise of an AG who understands issues better than others. I worked really hard with folks who were the county supervisor, as I was, to understand the local impact and community banks. We've done a very good job of putting it together. Now, I'm a little long-winded because I wanted to be a preacher like Warnock. but it didn't work out for me. God didn't call me to that. He didn't call me to that.
Mr. Chair, stay in your lane.
Yes. Someone should say amen before he takes up an offering. But brother. I'm just, here's the point.
Jesus.
Here's the point.
Let's go.
This is a real opportunity to move the ball forward.
And to help Bitcoin
for
break
a lot
out.
of people in a lot of places, that's losing confidence in American institutions.
Yeah.
Let's not demonize because it's easy. Let's work together because it's hard.
Yeah, but demonizing,
And important.
it helps their
Senator
cause.
Lummis,
Mr. Chairman, I have a point of order.
Political.
Thank you. And I agree with you. I think we need to continue to move forward. And so in that vein,
Let's do it.
my question is, so we don't run afoul of this in the future, is the amendment, Cortez Masto 16 was ruled out of order.
Yes.
And can you explain why it was out of order? That would help me in the future.
Certainly. We asked all amendments to be written to the ANS, and the amendments were written to the Friday Clarity Act. Friday when we released the legislation, we asked the amendments to be written to the substitute language.
Right. And it was?
It was not.
How was it not? That would be helpful, just so I know.
I can pull it up. It was written to the HR, and it is a strike and replace of text in the HR that was not in there because it's in the ANS. We talked to the floor. And
Sounds like a bureaucratic process that she didn't abide by.
place that it's written
I don't know.
as a
I have no idea what they're even talking about. I don't care.
So just so
pass
we
the
have
bill.
a clarification for the future for all
Certainly.
of us,
Pass
so we
the
don't get
damn
caught
bill.
in
Yes.
this or that, these are ours. I asked the parliamentarian if this was out of order, and she said no. And so I do think it will be
what does it
helpful in
look
the
like on
future,
Polymarkets right
so
now?
that we don't get caught up in this craziness, and we still can move forward as a body that works together on amendments, has conversation, discussion, that we have an understanding of these amendments. So I just appreciate you taking my point of order.
Absolutely.
And for the record, I will submit the parliamentarian's response to the question that I had about my amendment number 16.
Without objection.
Thank you.
We will submit our conversation with the parliamentarian as well.
Seems like it
Senator
would be
Lummis,
on the
the floor is
top.
Thank you,
right
Mr.
here.
Chairman. I want to start by a casual conversation among friends that are around this dais. Mr. Warner, thank you so much for working so hard on this
Clarity Act.
bill
I'm just
over the
gonna type
last
in
9
Clarity Act,
months.
say whatever.
Senator Cortez Masto, thank you. You brought a level
Ooh,
of
it dropped.
expertise on
It
illicit
went from
finance that none of the
75%.
rest of us had. And I want
Or
to thank you so much for that.
74%.
Your thoughts, Mr. Warnock, throughout the last 9 months have been additive to what I
Which
think
it's
is
not
a
gonna be
very
over
good
today.
bill. Mr. Gallego has worked
we'll know if
tirelessly
it's making
behind the
it
scenes
further.
on multiple issues that are involved in this legislation. And I want to single out
really like her
Senator
either.
Also Brooks for her tremendous time commitment and work with Mr. Tillis on the language that has helped bring this bill
USDJPY
to the
just
floor
cannot be
today
stopped. It's right back up.
on the concerns that the banking industry had about the Genius Act.
The XY
This has
pushing.
been a bipartisan dialogue that has gone on for 9 months.
Dollar
It has been
pushing.
almost tireless. And Mr. Marino, Mr.
Not really
Tillis,
affecting Bitcoin right this
Mr.
second, so that's
Kennedy,
a good thing at least.
honest,
But I don't like this. Looks like the dollar wants to
and
finish the
especially
week up
Senator
higher.
Scott, who has kept us on track for 9
That's
months.
last week's
This is the
high.
hardest piece of legislation I've ever
We
worked on.
want to see it reject
I
here.
served
It
14
just
years in
isn't.
the Wyoming legislature, 8 years as state treasurer, and now 14 years in the Congress. This is by far the
is a
hardest piece of
breakout
legislation
on the
I've ever
dollar.
worked on. And your colleague, Kirsten
Hopefully that doesn't put
Gillibrand,
pressure on
said the
Bitcoin.
same thing. And she has more experience than I do in the U.S. Senate. And it's because this is a case of first impression. This is a very new commodity and security. And it takes time to craft something to address the innovation that has been brought about through
Shouldn't take
blockchain
this much
technology.
time.
And that's why it's taken such a bipartisan effort, heavy lift, lots of negotiations,
Lots of pork
involvement
being added.
from those people who are in the industry. And it has morphed since we began this bill 5 years
I've
ago
got you.
because
She
the
belongs on the
industry
reservation.
has
I'm not going to
matured
read
over
that.
those years.
That was
This
a good,
is
very
new.
good, very
and
good
to have
call.
something this
Fast forward.
innovative
Got it. Stop.
come
I hear
to
you. Just get this
us,
over with. This is just foundational
via
laying future digital
legislation
monopolies.
today
Yeah, but
really
it's
is
super
quite
huge.
remarkable.
I guess we don't really need to
So
listen
I want to
to
thank
it.
the people
It's
in
going to
this
be
room,
huge for Bitcoin.
both in the audience and at the
It's a
table,
catalyst.
for their tireless dedication.
I guess
Treasury,
we don't need to listen
the
to it.
White House, the
The dollar
industry.
is breaking down.
We have all worked hard.
I mean, breaking out. So this could put pressure on Bitcoin. It isn't yet, but it definitely could. Very, very weird that it is breaking out when oil is not. So I don't really know what to say. It's going to be based on the USD JPY. Euro is also weak, very weak today. Like I said, so is the Australian dollar. The Australian dollar is not part of the DXY basket, so it doesn't really matter that it's breaking down. But as long as the dollar's breaking out, and with this going on today, I don't know how long this will even last. This could potentially last for hours of them bickering back and forth. Republican this, Democrat that. The left and the right can never agree on anything, and they never will, because they want two different things, right? The right want it to go back to America. They want it to go back to Russia. China. They got some weird politics. I don't like politics. Politics suck, but they have a massive effect on price action. Bitcoin's looking pretty good. It's trying to reclaim the weekly VWAP here. What is that? XMR still heading higher as well. Let's see what Bitcoin looks like. Yeah, that looks pretty good. It's a breakout, but can it sustain the breakout? And that looks good. But once again, can it sustain the rally? So if you fib yesterday's range, you're going to be probably right into or at the 786. It looks like you're slightly above it. Got 1 minute left on this hourly close. The XY is ripping. Heading higher. Damn it. Oh, that's the high. Okay. Yeah. I think this is going to be because of Euro weakness, if I had to agree. Or had to put Euro weakness, Yen strength. Or Yen weakness, sorry. Euro dollar, USD, it's heading much lower here. So breaking down below the support or the vector where we would anticipate support holding. But you've got the weekly down here, so the euro could potentially liquidate last week's low and then head higher and put the pressure on the dollar. So I wouldn't be shorting Bitcoin based on what the dollar's doing. Obviously, Bitcoin looks much better than arguably what the dollar's doing. So that could be what we're looking at. We'll see what happens here. And then USD JPY is a bullish engulfing 4 hour now. It's still got plenty of time, but it doesn't look good here. Got 2 hours left on this every single one of these, what look like, I don't know, spontaneous intervention wicks. I don't know. have been essentially faded. So every time you've gotten a big move lower, it's been bought right back up. So buyers are still all over it. Makes it a difficult sell. I've seen 4-hour traps, obviously. 8-hour daily traps. There's plenty of traps. I've even seen weekly candle closing traps. Could still be a trap, a larger time frame trap. I have a hard time trading it for that. It's generally speaking, if it was going to go lower, it could have already. You've already liquidated. It could have already went lower. So any shorts are probably getting stopped out right here, right now. And Euro did just liquidate. Yeah, just crazy day, crazy price action. BZ looks nice. I think it does ultimately break this near-term support, this near-term higher low. I would like to see it break it. 4-hour supply did, in fact, hold a little bit there. Huge selling pressure on the 30-minute, right at the POC, which is the point of control for anybody not aware. The sellers were in control of this, but funnily enough, the last few 15-minute candles were bullish. So a lot of buyers buying this trend line here. This is on the week's exchange. So it's going by volume on weeks. It's not like US volumes. Be interesting to see what US volumes are doing on Brent crude. Bearish. Well, these are CFDs too, so I don't know what exchanges these CFDs are on. But the volumes are bearish. That's a good thing. Unless price doesn't trend lower. If price doesn't trend lower, there could be an iceberg or a large market participant soaking up all the asks and just hiding their order flow, which it is completely possible to do. All right, let's go see what you guys are saying. Most of you are just tell her to shut up. Yeah, I get it. XRP is pumping, and I would assume most cryptos are pumping because Bitcoin is pumping, right? As long as Bitcoin is pumping, Ethereum is also pumping. Ethereum has looked really bad lately, really bad. But it is, it actually gave you a lower weekly low. Bam. So that doesn't look great for Ethereum. I've been saying it all week. If I was going to be shorting, I think I would rather short Ethereum, or last week maybe it was. If I was going to be looking to short a crypto instead of Bitcoin, short Ethereum. It's just not moving very much either. It's only been a 4% move. It's just chopping in a long-term range. Farcoin actually did give you a large move lower. It was almost 15%. The problem with it is this week is it never gave us an opportunity during the New York session. Every day this week, the New York session, Farcoin was trading on the lows, and we're not breakdown traders. We don't try to short lows. We want to short highs or somewhere in the range, up higher in the range if possible, as that gives us the maximum potential for short side entries. But yeah, it did give you a 15% move to the downside, And the same can be said for Pingu as well. It did ultimately roll out of this, which does look like a rejection. I'm not even going to joke. That looks like a rejection. You've taken out 2 weeks worth of weekly lows with this week's candle. Now, that doesn't mean it's going to continue to go lower. But in terms of, like a sell signal, you pretty much got it. You pretty much got it. It's not a great look. It looks like a rejection. It has been bullish. Maybe this is a pullback still. You're above the yearly opening range, so time will tell. If the yearly opening range can hold a support, then maybe Pingu gets going again. I thought Pingu would be dead by now, to be honest with you, because it dropped 80% on that day on 10/10. Got a lot of work to do. S&P still cruising, making fresh all-time highs. You're about to hit $7,500 on the S&P 500. Nvidia looking really good here today. Really good. That was a beautiful long op. We bought $200. This thing's cruising. So it's weird to me that the dollar's breaking out today and breaking out so strongly. But it is what it is. Maybe people are pricing in rate hikes. Sorry. Those rate hikes are being priced in. On the SPOOs, the top edge of the expected move is 75.09. So S&P 500, 75.09 is where the options market priced in the top side of this week's range. And I'll show you that real quick. As you can see here, you're trading into that. 75.09. This week's expected move hit. Very bullish. Very bullish. This is why we're looking at Microsoft for the long potentially. If we can get a fill, we think Microsoft put in a bear trap down here, and we think it's going to rally. We think it's going to break out above 433 eventually. Now it is testing resistance here, but it's already put in the move we wanted to see. We wanted to see supply exhausted under 405, and that's so far what we're getting. So that kind of speaks to an upside break incoming on Microsoft. I could be wrong. If you're buying Microsoft today, make sure your risk is mitigated. But this is what I want to see, and a reaction that I would have wanted to see. Very nice bullish reaction down here. Like it a lot. I do. So there's still obviously going to be sell side pressure coming from a trend line potential or not. No, it's breaking out. Okay. Still got a lot of work to do, obviously. But if it can stay above 405, I have no problems holding longs on Microsoft. For the swing trade, for the breakout, for 450. Upside targets could be as high as 450 on a measured move breakout. If this is in fact a bull flag. It's one of the only AI plays that is not ripping to all-time highs yet. We think it will ultimately. We don't know if it'll hit all-time highs, but we do like it to at least go up. The bears have had plenty of time to break it back to the downside. They've been unsuccessful at that. So Microsoft is one to watch here in the next few weeks. We could, let's see if probably wouldn't be. I don't know if it is a bull flag. And if it's an inverse head and shoulders, then it's a wonky one. But I could see it getting to 450 on a break if it breaks out above 430, which is going to be April's high. So if it breaks out above that, it would be good. There's 15 days left in the month of May. The fact that it's a doji here, this is where near-term resistance is going to be. But the fact that it's a doji with 15 days left to go, that's kind of a good sign, as that could indicate that your monthly low is in. Could indicate that. It doesn't indicate it. It could. So yeah, I like it. It looks good for the breakout if it can continue. Microsoft. Bitcoin's still looking fine, still holding up strong here, even with dollar strength. So I like that. I like that a lot. Right here's where your 200-day exponential is. So the sellers did get a nice 2-day move, but it was only a pullback. And that's what we want to see for the bullish case to be continuing in the future. What I miss? Well, we were trying to listen to the Senate Banking Committee, but they're flinging back and forth the words Republicans and Democrats and blah, blah, blah. So it's going to be an argument that takes all day, as each and every one of these people are going to want to get their message across. And each one of these people probably have 25 minutes worth of messaging. Literally all of these people, for their quote unquote constituents. All right. They all want pork to be in this bill. They all want it to be more than what it is. We just want it to get passed, as that's one step further into regulation. Regulation would be a good sign, as there is a lot of money that would potentially come into Bitcoin and, other products. It's good for crypto as a whole for this to pass, and it could be a very bullish catalyst. If it doesn't pass, then obviously all of this could get faded because the dollar is up. So just make sure your guys' risk is situated today. All right, sell the news maybe? Well, it doesn't look like they're selling the news. All right, if they were selling the news, this would be going lower. I said yesterday could potentially be like a sell the rumor and then today buy the news. Kind of what it looks like. But it wasn't a vicious move lower. It looks like it was a vicious move, but it wasn't. You didn't close under the 21-day exponential. So it's just a pullback. And it definitely looks like the buyers bought the 21. That's a good sign. But the dollar is continuing to rip. This isn't... It could get faded later, but as of right now, it is breaking out. It's struggling now, but it's above everything. And then here's silver, where let's see what silver's doing real quick right now. Yeah, silver got hammered today because of that dollar breakout. It's still bullish though. I don't like that it's making a fresh daily low, but the buyers could pick it up here, as on the 3-day chart it is still just a pullback. As long as the midpoint of this candle is intact, I think silver could continue to go up. but probably not if the dollar continues to break out. So the macro trade is going to be just keep an eye on oil and keep an eye on the dollar, obviously. Oil doesn't appear to have any effect on the dollar today, but oil isn't trending really today either. It did make a lower low on the daily range, but I mean, since then, it hasn't done anything. So very choppy. Gosh, it looks like the bears have just been trying to annihilate this thing. Look at that. This can't be correct data. It's like the bears are more aggressive every single day. I don't know what Brent crude futures are. Let's see what it looks like on. There you go. That's better. This is a Forex product, FXCM. Forex.com's data is, they hide it. They say it's proprietary. I don't know why they do that, but whatever. So it's like it's just like a mixed bag. You're not seeing any upside trend continuation or downside trend continuation in deltas. The volume's just like a wash here. You did get upside continuation on deltas this day. You did get upside continuation on price. Same could be said here. So I think this would be a better asset to look at in terms of what deltas are doing instead of BZ potentially, because BZ USD this is just going to be the week's exchange only. But retail tends to do the same thing across all exchanges, I guess. It is what it is. It's under the the week so far has been down, and I would like to see it continue to make lower lows and lower highs for the rest of the week, which is just, till Sunday. This doesn't really trade very much on the weekend. It just did last weekend. Usually it's a very tight daily range on the weekend. So tomorrow will be the last day. Hopefully it puts in another lower low. But you do have these higher lows here and a trend line. So this could potentially end up holding as support today. So if you make a higher daily high today on BZ, I'd quit trying to short it. I'd wait till next week and see what it does up here. But anything else? Any other questions? Any other questions? I don't think this is going to end anytime soon. I mean, she's got the floor again. Just a straight politician. 100% politician. Yeah, let's see what people are saying on Twitter. Or X. Polymarket is moving up. So just a second ago, it was at 64%. It is moving higher as we're speaking. So people are placing orders or betting here. This is for 2026. But still, what happens today is going to go a long way into determining what happens later on. Let's see if anybody's talking about it. It's not trending. Put that in your pipe and smoke. It is trending. Put that in your pipe. Forex trading is trending. Trending. Yeah, we know that. A landmark bill that would create a U.S. regulatory framework for the crypto industry is set to undergo a Senate committee markup starting Thursday. Protecting consumers, keeping crypto innovation in the U.S., and safeguarding national security. I like it when they use the national security word. That's good. A lot of people, they're not really getting much. Boom, what? 22 minutes ago, Senator Cynthia Lummis has just confirmed that the Clarity Act will pass with strong support from Democrats.
She's the author and champion of that bill. She's major bill designed to create a clear regulatory framework for digital assets could soon be heading to the Senate floor for a full vote in less than 2 hours. The Senate Banking Committee's markup process on the Clarity Act set to begin. Republican Senator Cynthia Lummis is here, and she's the author and champion of that bill. She sits on the Senate Banking Committee as chair of the Digital Assets Subcommittee. Good morning to you. Sounds like we're here. It's going to happen.
That's a fact. We've been working for over 9 months with Democrats trying to get this bill ready for today. It provides a regulatory framework that currently doesn't exist in the digital asset world. It's the Wild West out there, and that allows fraudsters to operate without a regulatory framework to respond to their illicit activity. It also allows legitimate players to set up shop overseas because they do have regulatory frameworks. This is a way to bring this industry into the fold into the United States, make it strong, robust, and serve the American consumer.
That's good news. So that's why you're seeing dollar strength today, and Bitcoin is not affected by it, I guess. DXY still breaking and ripping out. Definitely putting pressure on USD JPY as well as Euro dollar and Aussie dollar. So as of right now, what I thought the dollar was going to do this week, it is not. It is clearly going the opposite direction. I don't like that long term for Bitcoin strength, but I think this could be a good enough catalyst to get Bitcoin trending back to, maybe not today, but eventually breaking out above the 200-day exponential. The next key resistance level for Bitcoin, if it does break out above the 200-day exponential, is going to be the 50-week EMA, which is up there at 182, 86, 182, and then obviously the yearly opening range. So things looking pretty good here today, looking pretty strong. I'm still holding my longs. I'm loving MicroStrategy above 180. I'm still holding longs on strategy shares at 180. So I like the fact that we're building in higher lows and higher highs. Looks good. I see no reason for the trend not to continue except for the dollar. The dollar is going to be a very key indicator moving forward. And then ultimately, who knows? Maybe the DXY and Bitcoin could break their longer term correlations. That would be good, I think, in the long run. I would love to see that. Although, as long as they do have a macro correlation or a macro inverse correlation, knowing what the dollar is doing has been a very helpful indicator for taking longer term or trending Bitcoin trades. Obviously, it would have been a lot more difficult for me to buy Bitcoin Wednesday or, a couple Wednesdays ago when we had the FOMC meeting, had it not been for dollar weakness. Right? So, yeah, it looks good. It's a fantastic looking candle. It's one of the biggest bullish 4-hour candles that we have seen since this one, I guess. About the same, right? And then over here you have a big one right there, but that one didn't give you any upside continuation. And this happened on a Sunday. So it's nice that we're seeing a big move like this happen during normal trading hours. I would anticipate you see upside continuation from this. So it is definitely possible that we're right back up into these highs by tomorrow. Absolutely. Liz Warren Classic, probably talking about human trafficking with Bitcoin. Yeah, that and everything else. She's just can't stand her. She was the leader in trying to destroy the crypto market back when Biden was the president. Literally can't stand her because of that. I could listen to all of the other Democrats. It's just her. To me, listening to her speak is like nails on a chalkboard. It is so bad. So bad. One of the most annoying things I've ever had to listen to. But yeah, it looks good. According to Senator Loomis, it looks good. It's going to move on, and that's good news. There are trillions of dollars, potentially trillions of dollars, sitting on the sideline waiting for clarity. However, the headwind risk is going to continue to be the BIP 110 stuff, because that is still out there. That is still a risk. It is a soft fork. And it's going to be a minor. It'll be triggered by the miners if everything goes well in September. So there are still headwind risks for Bitcoin in 2026. But when volatility is lagging like this much, markets are trending higher, volatility is trending lower. For nice big breakouts, you would like to see those big breakouts occur with bullish catalysts, and the Clarity Act is clearly a bullish catalyst. So I was really pondering selling the Bitcoin long yesterday when this happened, but I didn't. I was like, screw it. I'll protect that short today, or I'll protect these long gains today with a short right there. But if it passes, I expected I would get stopped out, and it did. It did get stopped out. And that's a fantastic rally. That's a fantastic rally. It's not quite, you haven't quite taken out yesterday's high, but that would be a very good sign if we could do that today. A very good sign. As going into tomorrow, any pullback into today's open and potentially today's low would be met with buying pressure, I would assume. I wouldn't want to see it pull back that deep tomorrow. Midpoint check of today's range. Now, here's something though. Because the dollar is ripping, unless the dollar rolls over today and gets back under 98.57, right? The dollar, if Bitcoin stays as an inside day, that wouldn't look so good because you had a bullish catalyst today. So I think it does break out. It's not a breakout, but it does take out yesterday's high. That would be nice. That'd be nice. We'll see. We got time. Well, I don't have time, but we got all day essentially to just watch it and see what it does. Will you close your Bitcoin long? No. Why would I close it now? I mean, no. No. It doesn't make sense to close it if it looks like we're going to get a breakout. That's just a very, here, I'll show you. That is just a very small position. Right? It's just a very small position. It's not really, at this point, I'm just trying to mitigate what I lose in terms of these unrealized gains. That is all. That is all. Just a very small position here. There's really no point in closing it, especially if it looks like a breakout is coming. This looks really good for upside continuation. It does. I wish the dollar was more on track with it, but it's fine. I mean, the stop is setting above the entry, and it would be a positive $300 win anyway. I was getting really close to thinking about closing it yesterday, but now I'm not going to close it. There's no way. But instead of closing it, I was just simply going to hold a short, and if it rolled over with the same equal size position, be short. It could literally make the same amount of money if it did in fact roll over. But the sellers are back to controlling the annualized funding rate, so now sellers can show up. But I think if they were going to, they would have today. I think if the sellers were going to, they would have today. They've got the dollar strength with them. So, I mean, if you wanted to be a seller, you should be winning today. Bitcoin should be heading lower, along with all the other assets that trade against the dollar today, like Euro and Aussie and pretty much everything else. The JPY, the dollar's crushing all of them. But even Ethereum is up. XMR struggling a little bit, but it's still, I mean, we got the move we wanted to see yesterday. We wanted to see a breakdown, fresh lows, we got it. So I don't know what it's going to do. If Bitcoin continues to trend up, it probably does go back to the week open. This is such a slow-moving, choppy, sideways asset, though. Looking for trades and continuation on this are going... This was just going to be a scalp from the word go yesterday. It was the only setup that we really had. And then oil, I mean, as long as it looks like this, as long as the 4-hour is under supply, I can hold a short on it. I don't love the setup, though, because it's right into support. Got 26 minutes left on this close. If it were to close back up in here, or if the next 4-hour candle opens and trades back up into this, I wouldn't like that. This is a higher low support. And you will have people trying to buy it. A lot of people assume oil is going much higher. And the macro kind of supports their bias. I mean, Iran is not coming any closer to working out a deal with the U.S., and the Strait of Hormuz is still closed. So, I mean, the macro backdrop definitely supports higher oil prices. So being a seller on oil right now is the contrarian take. The reason I have a sell-side bias on oil is because of the monthly trend. This current month trend is down. Right? It is down. You're under the open, so there's more weakness inside of the monthly candle than there is strength. But this week has been a pathetic expansion, to say the least. You know what I mean? That's pathetic. This is your weekly range. That's last week's range. This week's range. Pathetic. By the end of the day tomorrow, if it still looks like this, I would be interested to see the volume. Maybe volume is just drying up on it. I don't know. But it's too expensive to set in long-term trades. So this is going to be a scalping asset only. Look to get in at sell signals, take profits, move stops to break even, and then you know, whatever. But so my first short in XBR, we shorted it here. That trade got stopped out. We took another one on this day. That trade worked out. So I did have a short up there, but they canceled the XBR contract. And I had the short on the XBR contract. So on BZ, the new Brent crude tracker, the new perp, I shorted yesterday and made money. But it was very small money, nothing much, because the range is just tiny. We're under the weekly open down here, though, so that's a good sign. Weekly open right here. 103.20. Getting back above that means oil is back to up. Not a good thing. So we want to see the pressure stay on oil, but only time will tell if it does. Oh my God, your eyes close. Close her. CIA just raided Tulsi Gabbard's office. That's not good. Isn't Tulsi Gabbard, didn't she used to work for them or something? Did Tulsi Gabbard say something bad about Trump and Trump is now like mad at her? Who knows? Yeah, I don't really care about that. I don't see how that's going to affect Bitcoin at all. Don't care about politics, man. Politics is so bad. Politics terrible. All right, we're going to wrap it up. You guys have a fantastic rest of your day. Yeah, everything looks okay. I wish the dollar was rolling over. It isn't. So that means I've been stopped out of my euro dollar longs. And that kind of sucks, but it's been in a 5-week range. So maybe only look for scalps on it until it breaks either down or up. I don't really care which way it goes, but I would love some clarity. I'm leaving the yen alone because I tried to short on it. It got stopped out this morning. Yeah, I don't like this. I guess as long as the interest rates are so wide, probably just keep a bullish bias on this thing. Maybe tomorrow will be a good short. Now that I'm looking at the moving averages here, it actually makes perfect sense. What it's doing here. This is a bullish engulfing candle. And it is going to most likely close above the 21-day exponential today. That means literally tomorrow, wherever this thing closes, hopefully it closes above it. Everybody will be looking to buy at like 158.020. So I will attempt one more short on USD/JPY at the bell or when the new day opens if we liquidate today's high and roll over. Yeah. So like pretend we were at the new day open right now during the Asian session tonight. If you pop up above the high and then drop under it, I'm not saying the high is going to be this price. I don't know where it's going to be. It could be anywhere. It could be anywhere in here. But that's what I'd be looking for. I would put the short on there. Tight stop, obviously. Because if it does roll over and come down to test this daily 21, I think it dumps. If this is a trap. To make a bullish engulfing right here kind of smells trappy. Kind of smells trappy to me. But if you get upside continuation tomorrow, it is not a short. And then that's it. That's what I'll be looking at. And I'm still holding longs on Bitcoin, shorts on oil, and short on XMR. That's all we had for setups. Really. No real good setups today. Still long NVIDIA as well. Forgot about that one. That one's looking good. All right, you guys have a fantastic rest of your day. Make sure you guys trade safe. Make sure you trade smart. And as always, happy trading, everybody.